Hey guys, how you doing? Charlie here for another Adobe After Effects tutorial. Today we're going to do some fun work with some particle based systems to create a title effect. We'll be using Trapcode form. I'll put a download link in the description for serial numbers and for the texture I'm using for the floor here. This effect is based entirely around Trapcode form, and you can also add particular shine, star glow under the Trapcode suite to this effect if you want. So I really suggest the Trapcode suite, it's pretty awesome. So I've just been playing around with form and I thought I'd put up a quick tutorial about it. So here's just a quick video I put together. Okay, so you can see that our particles come in, this will disperse in a fractal field, creating our text, and then they go away again. Simpler than it looks, perhaps. It's literally just using one effect here and a few different layers. So we'll go ahead and open up a new composition, Command N for Mac users. And just to keep things nice and orderly, we'll call this our main comp. I'm going for 720p, it's 25 frames per second. Okay. And in this comp, we're just going to give it a solid background. It's just going to be a black background. And in fact, we'll pre-compose this and call it BG, and we'll quickly work on our background. So this is where we'll add our texture. Scale this. Hit the 3D switch, and we'll just bring it down, and then hit R, go into the X rotation, and we'll just flatten it out a bit. So we've got a sort of floor base here. Stretch it out a bit more. Okay, so position that up nicely, and now we can go over to our Eclipse mask and just double click here, and it'll create a mask nicely already for us. So then we can go into our mask feather and just say 400 pixels, just mask it out. We can turn it off now. So now we can sort of move our floor around how we want it, maybe stretch it out a bit more, anything really. So that's sort of looking alright. We can go ahead and create a camera also here. Yeah, and now we'll be able to just sort of move around the floor. So if we want to come out a bit, maybe come above our floor, out a bit more, and then move it along the x-axis perhaps. So now, as you can see, we need to do a little bit of rescaling to our floor. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and quickly grab a rectangle mask, just put it along here, and set this mask to subtract. And again, I'll just feather this out, perhaps about 400 pixels or so. Okay. So now we've got our floor layer. I mean, play around with it how you want it to be, really. I mean, this is just sort of rough. Perhaps there. It's alright. So we've got a sort of light coming in. We can add a light to this as well. I've got that quite strong intensity, about 300, and we can move this out and then just grab the X, so let's bring it over here, bring it around. Okay, and scale this out. Okay, so now we've created a somewhat reasonably reflective, organic looking floor shade for our for where our text is going to appear. So you can do your own background. I mean, you can just add a vignette if be more simple, but that'll do. So we'll go back into our main composition and we have our background here. So now we can create our text layer. Okay, we can probably scale this up a little bit. Choose whatever font you want. Sorry. I'm gonna just leave it with this font and pick a fill that sort of relates a little bit to the background, sort of like a nice light grey colour. And now we can pre-compose this. We'll call this our title holder. So now we can go ahead and start using our Trapcode form plugin. So we'll create a new solid, hit OK, and we'll go down to Trapcode and we'll bring out our form. So all we need to do is make our form particle base the same as that of the composition. So I believe we're working 1280 by 720. We'll put that the same for particles in X and Y as well. So now we've just got this our background that is made up of all the particles. We might want to just go into our particle size and maybe just increase this slightly. Let's bring up transparency, and now we're ready to go into our layer maps and attach this to our title holder. We want this to be our GBA, and we'll map it over. As this is 2D, we want to map it over the X and Y. We'll turn off our background. No, sorry, we'll turn off our title. I'm mapping this over X and Y because we want our particles to come in over the X-axis eventually once we go ahead and add our fractal field. So we'll set our displace to about 250. And we'll give it a bit of disperse as well. Yeah. And you can add twists perhaps. All looks good. So now you can see that we've just got our particles moving around as our text layer, in the form of our text layer. So yeah, looking alright, looking cool. Now we just need to animate this so it moves on and forms our text, and that can easily be done under our quick map section. So here's just a load of maps that we can use. If we've got some effects here for our maps, so the opacity, fractal strength, and disperse strength. For our first map, we're going to want to disperse our particles, and this is going to be over the x-axis. So if we set our gradient here to fade on over time, fade off over time, sorry, you'll see that we have more particles over to the left-hand side than that over the right here at the end. And if we flip this, you'll see this change. I'm going to create another map here, and This second map will be our fractal strength, and this is going to map over the X as well, and we'll create the same gradient here. Okay, so now it's really starting to take shape. If we animate this now, see the offset value here? This pretty much just acts as an intensity percentage. I'll just rename this form quickly. And we can just quickly go ahead and pre-compose this layer to keep things a bit more orderly. Move our attributes to new composition. We'll just call this composition form. So inside here, we've got our title holder and our form. So we'll go back to our quick maps here. As I said, these animate the percentage. So we'll bring our animation in a few seconds, and we'll alt-click on the stopwatch. Sorry, we'll just click on the stopwatch. We'll set this to 0, and we'll jump ahead a few seconds, 4 seconds, and we'll set this to 200. Okay, cool. So now you can see that our text goes from being text-like to dispersing into particles. I just realised that's the wrong way around, so we'll just go ahead and keyframe assistant, time reverse keyframes down here. Okay. And now what we can do is just alt-click on our second map, and we'll just pick width our first one. Yeah. Okay. Now we can go down to our third map, and we'll make this an opacity one, and we'll map this over the X again, and we'll want our opacity to be fade on as the particles fade off. So in other words, we need to change our map so it's the opposite to that of the gradient of our disperse and fractal strength. So we'll flip it, so we get our particles fading on as. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll just keyframe our opacity to come on. So if we just jump to the end of our animation, should be here. Actually, you can just hit K to jump to the next animation. On the keyboard it's a lot easier. Then set this to 200. So now we've got our text feeding on. And as you may have realised, our text isn't standard, it's twisted as hell. So what we can do is go down to our disperse and twist, and where we've got it twist at 10, we can keyframe the twist. So we'll go here, and we'll hit our keyframe for twist, and maybe we'll set this up to like something like 50, and then hit K, jump to the next keyframe, and we'll set it back down to 0. So we'll just give this a quick RAM preview. Okay, so that's not looking too bad. Maybe we've got too much twist on there. Just play around with that how you wish to. I'm probably just going to change this twist so the start value of say 15. And that should just tidy things up a little bit. Okay. Anyhow, let's go into our particle and just make a few little changes. We may want these to be slightly, maybe turquoisey. What am I doing? There we go. Turquoise perhaps. Okay guys, so now we've got our basic text animations sorted. We can go ahead and go back into our main composition, and we'll have this along with our background now. So we can quickly animate this moving off the screen, and for that we need to go back into our form composition, sorry, and simply just bring up the keyframes, and all we need to do is take our map 2 offset, map 1, sorry, the one with the keyframes, and we'll literally just copy the beginning keyframe and just paste this where you want the end of your animation to be. So here, and as you'll see, this will disperse quicker than it came on because there's a short amount of frames between it going off. So if we just quickly round preview this here. Okay guys, so this is looking cool. We've got the basic idea of how to use Trapcode form to emulate text dispersion. Here we'll just need to change the opacity so it fades out. So we'll just hit T actually, we'll just do this in a simple way. Just keyframe forward, however long you want it to stay there for, hit 0. So a nice simple way of just making it disappear. And here we'll hit N on the keyboard and we'll trim this to our comp work area if you haven't already. So now back in our main comp, we'll just trim this up. We've got everything starting to come together nicely. We've got our text coming on, our text leaving. So now what we can do is perhaps just create a sort of shadow to our form layer. And to do this, there's loads of ways to do this, but just quickly we'll duplicate it. And then we'll just go to shading and turn this on. Okay, and then we'll make this a 3D layer, and we will hit R, bring up the rotation, and bring down the X rotation, and just flip it. Bring down the Y. Okay, and we'll just quickly make the colour of our form white. And if we head back over into our main comp now, you'll see we've kind of got a shadow. It's a bit of a pathetic shadow, but just play around with it. It'll do the job, and it'll disperse with our original title, obviously, as it's just a duplicate form. So that's all good. Maybe we can just bring down the opacity down to about 50, just to make our shadow look a bit more realistic. We could add some effects to the shadow as well, just make it ground in more and look a bit more organic. Okay, so that's pretty much it, guys. Obviously add your own effects, make this look a little bit better. I mean, by all means use different font styles, but this sort of just gives you the basic idea of how to use form for your text, for your titles. It's a pretty wicked plugin, so I highly recommend it, and just click on the link in the description and it should all be good. Alright, cheers guys.